Hello, it's June 2022, and I'm briefly going to talk about how I've mentioned, whether it be in videos or even posts and comments, how, for example, truthers are not interested in the truth, but only what they want the truth to be. And that's because people, regardless of the topic or on what side of the fence you're on, only hear one side of the story. And they accept that one side of the story, for example, being factual. No one ever challenges the other side of the story. And if somebody, for example, comes along with even information or facts that are contradicting a side of a story, then people tend to really resist and even become very emotional. Now, there's an assumption, for example, that the side of the story that's being heard is factual. There's an assumption. That's key. And when we look, for example, at the education system, teachers. Now, I just want to stop here for a moment. I've talked a lot about people in various positions of authority, and I've used study examples. However, people in the teaching professions, regardless of what level of teaching, kindergarten up to university, they're in positions of authority as well. And when you have somebody with a specific ideology or belief and they're in that position, they're in a unique position that they can teach their students, captured audience, whatever it is that they want the truth to be. And this goes back to, for example, even truthers are not interested in the truth, but what they want the truth to be. And what we see from all this are social justice movements and people going on ranting, chanting phrases and stuff, and they really don't even understand their own argument. And when that argument's being challenged, they become emotional because their brain is trying to understand their own position, and then they take it out on, for example, the messenger. There's an assumption that whatever's being said, the one side of the story, especially when it comes from authority, is truthful. Now, we can apply that to any topic, even, for example, what I would now call old, current worldwide events and what is being imposed. We can apply that to, for example, with court rulings. We hear one side of the story with, for example, court ruling, and people accept that as, well, this is a fact. It's a fact in the sense that there has been a ruling made, but it doesn't necessarily reflect truth, justice, or even reality. And when somebody tries to contradict, for example, a court ruling of a wrongful conviction, people have a hard time wrapping their head around, well, that's inaccurate, that's not truthful, that's wrong. And this problem really has come for the past many decades through indoctrination in the school system. And we see more and more now where youthful people know everything. Now, you can go right back for however long, how many generations. And yes, young people, they tend to think they know everything and they don't. But we see a big shift where we have a disrespect from the youth towards older people. Older people with more education, more life experience, more intelligence, more whatever. One of the biggest problems that we have today, why people, for example, only base their theories, opinions, beliefs, wants, desires, etc. on one side of the story is because, one, people's attention spans are reduced to that of a squirrel. We have people forming their opinions and further finding support with their opinions and so forth with memes, with a picture, a cartoon or something, some words, and there you go. validates what they think that they know. We also see the same, for example, people making conclusions based on something a comedian has said. Now, people have defaulted to say, well, there's a lot of truth with comedians, what they say. And at times there are. But at the same time, it's also a very good platform for an individual to impose their theories, beliefs, wants, desires, or opinions. And if they're wrong, well, then people accepting what a comedian might say has of what value. So we hear one side of the story, and people will use the word "it resonates," and they start to cherry pick and only seek out, for example, those of like mind. And one of the things when you, for example, when you study law, you have to be able to look at all sides of the argument. And I remember, for example, one of the exercises that we did, say if you already had a position on a topic, you would have to argue against that position. And that allows you to look at things objectively, to be able to step yourself aside from everything and then look down and say, oh, okay, here we go. Most people don't like to do that. And you can relate that, for example, with what's going on in the world today. People don't want to challenge what they've concluded. And usually that's because deep inside they realize they have a weak argument. We have a world where everyone is entitlement. Everyone knows everything. And even when somebody, for example, says, well, yeah, I did look at the opposing side. Did you really? Did you really look into it? Did you, for example, go to the source of whatever it is that's opposing your conclusion? There are people, for example, going back to teachers, who will teach their conclusion, their opinion, belief, theory, want, desire, whatever. And then they'll say, well, but here's the opposing side. But it's not really. And that's where you come into disinformation and misinformation. And people don't know any better. People become lazy. And what's really interesting is, in today's world where people have more time to do more things, people will seek out to be entertained rather than take the opportunity to learn. And there are people, to different degrees, who do take the opportunity to learn as much as they can on many different topics. So they have that, I'm going to use the word diversity, but they have a diverse knowledge base. And this is one example where diversity is a good thing. There's a lot of examples where that word is actually very destructive to society. So really the whole point I would like to make about one side of the story is, it's just one side of the story. And we have social justice movements, for example, Believe All, or All Lives, or whatever. What they're really trying to do is set the stage that whatever they concluded has to be correct. They know everything, and they don't want to be challenged. And if your position, regardless of the topic, you're scared of it being challenged, then is it really your position? And I said in a fairly recent video, who gave you your opinion, theory, belief, want, your conclusion? Anyway, that's all I want to say. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When we die.